John Muir is an American icon. He is as one of the visionaries who helped create our modern park system and preservation of our wilderness. His message was that humans need to connect to nature for spiritual and physical health. Muir was honored in his own lifetime for his research in geology and botany, and for helping create our national park system. To honor him, he had glaciers, mountains, and parks named after him. He also received honorary degrees from Harvard, Wisconsin, and Yale. Muir's ideas and spirit continues to inspire people. Today we honor him on April 21st, John Muir Day, and with 2 federal stamps. Historians such as Donald Worcester still write about Muir's life and role in history. Muir's books still sell at stores. There are ships, schools, streets, minerals, plants, and animals named after him. There is even a planet named in his honor. But how did John Muir become to be regarded as an American icon? We will take a brief look at the man, the times he lived in, and his life's work to better understand why John Muir is so revered in America today. John Muir was born in Scotland in the fishing town of Dunbar on April 21, 1838, to Daniel and Anne Muir. His father, Daniel, was a religious Calvinist, stern, frugal, and hardworking. Muir developed an early rebellious streak, and he loved to run wild. Even though his father was successful, he moved the family to Wisconsin in 1849, seeking opportunities. Muir was fascinated with machines. He would build mechanical devices and think about being an inventor. The farm also enabled Muir to explore and bond with nature as well. Romantic writers like Burns influenced his views on nature, equality, and social reform. At the age of 22, Muir traveled by train to Madison to enter his inventions in the state fair and won an award. By 1861, Muir entered the university for 3 years and studied physics, chemistry, botany, and geology. And he met Professor Ezra and Jean Carr, who became lifelong friends. Civil War was raging. The moral disorder of the soldiers in Madison partly contributed to the pious Muir leaving school in 1863. Muir follows his brother Daniel, who left to avoid the draft, to Canada and settles to work on a mill near Ontario until it burns down in 1866. Muir returns to the U.S. in 1867 and takes a factory job in Indianapolis to only have his eye pierced with a metal file. At 29 years old, John Muir is blind for a month. When his sight returns several months later, he leaves the dirty factory life to pursue nature. Muir's early years give him the temperament, skills, education needed for the work to come. His stern family and farm upbringing prepares him physically and psychologically for the wilderness. As a Scottish lowlander, Muir is assertive, resilient, and freedom-loving, with a disposition that prepares him to be one of our first environmental activists. At 29 and recovered from his eye injury, Muir visits his family and then heads south on a 1,000-mile walk to Florida. He reflects in 1,000 Miles to the Gulf. I bid adieu to the mechanical inventions, determined to devote the rest of my life to the study of the inventions of God. By March of 1868, Muir traveled to California by ship and found his way to Yosemite. For the next decade, he intensely explores Yosemite, the Sierras, and Alaska. To make ends meet, Muir takes odd jobs including sheep herder, lumberjack, and outdoor guide. Muir's exploration of Yosemite and Alaska captured the public's imagination. He wrote 300 articles and 14 books while being detailed, captured the spirituality of nature. He blended such philosophies as Romanticism, rationalism, empiricism, Darwinism, and Calvinism to create a divine view of nature that accommodated God and science. Muir's research gained him credibility with the naturalists of his day. Being egalitarian, he loved to talk with everyone about nature. John Burroughs said, Muir was a unique character, greater as a talker than as a writer. Muir's sense of humor, spirituality, talkative demeanor, and outdoor knowledge made him charismatic and enabled him to persuade and inspire. The passion he showed in glorifying nature transformed him from an adventure writer to a philosopher visionary. Muir was poised to become nationally known, but first he was to explore family life. The third person in Muir's life starts at the age of 42, with his marriage on April 14, 1880, to Louis Wanda Stretzel. Muir met Louis and her father, a respected rancher, in July of 1874 and was engaged by June of 1879. For the next 10 years, Muir helped run the farm, had 2 daughters, Anda and Helen, and limited his travel and writing. His most notable trip was in 1880 to an Alaskan glacier with the dog Sticking, resulting in his famous dog story. An avid letter writer, he stayed in contact with his friends and family. It was during his period that Muir's father passed away with Muir at his bedside in 1885. By 1883, Muir felt boxed in, perhaps reminiscent of working on his father's farm. Muir writes that he was lost and choked in agricultural needs. Louis sells and rents off most of the farm by 1888 so Muir can return to his writing and exploring. His family period was quiet in comparison to his earlier life. At the age of 50, Muir was publishing Picturesque California and preparing for most of the significant period in his life. It would be these later years that would create a foundation for the modern environmental movement and ensure Muir as an American icon. The last 26 years of Muir's life are focused on travel, preservation lobbying, and writing. Throughout this period, Muir published many articles and the majority of his books. He traveled through Alaska, the United States, and around the world to lecture, explore, and learn. He always stayed connected to his family and friends by writing in outings at Yosemite. Joining with other friends, Muir created the Sierra Club on May 28, 1892. This club united the West Coast conservationists. Muir was president of the club for 22 years, and it evolved to become one of the most influential environmental organizations of the country. Muir's last lobbying effort to save the Hetch Hetchy Valley from a dam failed. Destruction of our forests and wildlife from ill-conceived development became a widespread public concern. Muir's written and spoken message of the value of nature and the need for preservation appealed to people everywhere. As a result of his writings and lobbying, Muir's reputation and influence grew from coast to coast. John Muir passed away at the age of 76 on December 24, 1914 in Los Angeles. Why did this humble man who walked tens of thousands of miles become an American icon? We have 5 possible reasons. First, Muir had education, training, skills, and an early outdoor experiences that prepared him for his explorations and writings. He was a credible naturalist. Second, Muir lived in a time that was ready for his preservation message. The Civil War, dirty industrialization, and the early conservation movement created public awareness of the destruction of wildlife and forests. Muir had an audience that was ready to listen. Third, Muir was charismatic and had an effect on 3 presidents. President Harrison preserved 13 million acres of forests, while President Cleveland preserved 21 million acres of land. And President Roosevelt, who camped with Muir in 1903, created 148 million acres of national forests, 5 national parks, and 23 national monuments. Fourth, Muir's Sierra Club has promoted his values and ideas to the public for over a century. In Yosemite, Muir says, "Everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to pray in and pray in, where nature may heal and cheer, and give strength to body and soul alike." Lawrence Downing, past president of the Sierra Club, notes, "These views were landmarks in the history of the environmental conservation." Muir's message is timeless and inspirational, certainly the signature of an American icon.